Hello, folks. Welcome along once again to the Left Wing Back Club Champ Pod titled Pull Hard, Episode 3, in association with Cork and Precast Tanks, DB Recovery, Craig Carney Web Design, Balloons and Sweet Treats, Brendan Cabinet Furniture, and Breege Nolan Physiotherapy. Thanks once again to our sponsors. Without them, we don't have the service, and we're delighted to bring the coverage to you for the duration of the Club Hurling Championship and indeed the Club Football Championship when it's coming up. We delve into Camogie and ladies football a little bit as well. And of course, Long Puck is on the agenda for this episode. Fail is on the agenda. We have a number of things on the agenda, but we will start, as always, with the Hurling Championships senior first. And I'll bring in my regular guests, Stephen Bambrick and Joan Nolan. How are you keeping, lads?
Good, Kevin, you?
Not bad at all. I suppose we'll start with Friday night. It was a game, I suppose, that Naomh Bríd had designs of winning, I would say, before a ball was thrown in, and they were right in it, I suppose, up until the very end. In the end, Bindlestown win 2-14 to 15 points. I have to say, it was an entertaining enough game. I thought the standard in the first half was probably not wonderful at times, being straight with you, but it got exciting coming down I suppose the last 10 minutes or so when Naomh Bríd got a bit of momentum. Bindlestown were under serious pressure and they responded accordingly. My initial thoughts, I think, for the game, probably for the most part, was that Bindlestown looked a little bit sharper than Naomh Bríd, who didn't look very sharp, and both of them are a good bit off where you need to be in terms of being razor sharp. Stevie, I know there was lads coming back, there was injuries and stuff. I thought it was evident enough at times. I thought maybe touch and striking and all, and it did go for Bindlestown to an extent as well. I thought that left a little bit to be desired, but having said that, we saw some fantastic scores, and it's an often pity we don't have a clip of this, but without doubt, I suppose the score of the game, and you go a long way to find a better score in the championship, but you would have until Sunday until you saw Jack Tracy's and John Nolan's. Mikey Bambrick's score was absolutely sublime. He rattled off 3 in a row from midfield in the space of about 5 minutes, I'd say. The third one was just absolutely ridiculous. There was a crossfield breeze going as well, which was very hard to judge. And yeah, I thought it was a class score. Other observations, I thought a big turning point in the first half was, it's terrible to be naming a shame, but I think it was Pádraig Coughlan went to deliver a ball in, and the head, I don't know, was the head up, but the delivery wasn't smart anyway. It went to the far side of, I think, Aaron Almond. And from there, Bindlestown deliver a long ball, and two Naomh Bríd men, to my knowledge, get caught underneath the ball. Who nips in behind? Styler. Straight through on goal. There's only going to be one answer to that one. So I suppose those are the learnings of senior championship. You get punished for those learnings, which we'll come to a little bit later on in the programme. And that put Bindlestown very much in the ascendancy. Bindlestown as well, still depleted. I suppose one of the lads they did see back in action in the second half was Alfie Corcoran. And I don't know, lads, that he come out with about 15 balls, I'd say, in the second half. It was as good a half of hurling as I've seen from Alfie. And he has hurled serious games for both Club and County. He was absolutely brilliant. And I'd actually argue, I'd say, without him in the second half, Bindlestown were in serious trouble. Coming down the stretch, Naomh Bríd get momentum. Bindlestown take off Andrew Kane. Andrew Kane was quite enough. Andy Malini did a pretty good job on him. Poor old Liam Galloway got hurt again. I think it might have been his knee. And Andrew Kane has to come back off the bench. And lo and behold, the ball breaks and he puts it in the back of the net. So, that's kind of the tale of that one, I would say, from how I saw it anyway. Have you wanted to add to it, Stevie?
I don't know. Schluckers was, I suppose, Bindlestown, they'll be looking after 2 games. They'll be saying, right, they've played on Hill Range and Naomh Bríd. If they said to start the season, they're 2 points. Happy enough, I suppose. I was talking to a couple of them there Saturday, and they were saying, look, you wouldn't have come out frightened after the Mount Leinster Rangers game they played. And sure, look, the game itself the other night, the breeze we had in the first half, whoever was in it, it was kind of a cross breeze. So Bindlestown took their chance in the first half. Paddy McDonald and Jeremy Clark took what chance it was going. They got, say, 5 or 6 points between them. Styler got a good point at the start. He put away the goal. Like, once the ball broke for the goal, there was only one outcome. Like, we reacted well. I think we got the next couple of scores. Look, you're going to be punished. Them mistakes are made at senior level. They're picking it out of the net. Like last night, Ballinkillen were the same. Free went wrong in the half back line. I think there was a Declan Brennan left it stuck in the top corner. You won't get away with them at senior
level. Alert for the next game.
Yeah. Yeah, look, delighted the way the boys came back. Like, and look, as I said, whatever we're all on this to learn, and as an every as the club, wants to learn and learn quick, and we learn things from the week before. There's other things we've learned from last week. As I said, with few lads back after missing the first game, and every minute you're on that field, you're learning and have to learn and adapt quick. And look, we're Ballinkillen next week. Hopefully, they'll have probably they're getting lads back as well. So it's the match itself. We'll be happy enough with the performance. Could have got a result, yes, could have got ahead, didn't get ahead. So on to the next game. We have to learn from these games and learn quick.
Yeah, but you'll be happy with the performance. I think that's the overall consensus, because even though Bidenston are depleted, they pushed on tremendously last year and looked like they were in with a squeak of getting to a county final. So I think there was tangible progress, in the game. They looked like they're moving in the right direction. I think week on week they will improve, I suppose. The other thing to note, funnily enough, is we're all about letting the game go and stuff, right? I thought it was gas. How both sets ended up with 15 on the field at the end was, I sure Jesus was gas really in the heat with all. But there was a few off the ball things which do happen. And look, we're not going to be like a certain flagship TV show and start scrutinizing things. A bit of argy-bargy at the end as well. But there was bite in it. It was actually the last 10 or 15 minutes, I think, of that game, albeit not just by standard, but in terms of bite and championship and looking like, geez, there's a bit in this, like a bit of cutting in it. Like, I think out of 3 games, that was the one that stuck out for the last 10 or 15 minutes as such. But anyway, that's the joys of it. So Nave Reid move on to face Ballinkillen at 1 o'clock next Sunday. I'll go through other fixtures in a moment's time, but we'll move on to I suppose the double header on Sunday then, which was St Mullins and Michael first, and then Ballinkillen and Leinster Rangers. I didn't see the first half of St Mullins and Michael. I can't really comment on that. So Joe, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, well, there's a good bit of bite in that one, Kev. I suppose at the start, or at the end of last week's podcast, we said, like, would there be a kick in Michael? We thought they were awful dead. We know there was going to be a kick in Michael, but we thought they were awful dead against Ballinkillen. And they rung the changes, I suppose, before the game. And there certainly was a good kick in them. I suppose for them, you missed the first half, and I suppose you missed what ultimately probably cost them the game in the long run. I think after about 10 minutes, they were 1-6 to a point down. So you're giving St Mullins an 8-point lead, and it probably gave them too much to do, I suppose, really ultimately. I thought some of their hurling was excellent. There was a bit of bite in it, a bit of zip in it. There are a couple of changes that they made. I think moving John Michael into centre forward for me was a smart move. I think he was definitely on top of his game. Scored a couple of points. I think it gave Dwayne, he was involved in the game more so, I think, this week. It gave Dwayne Kavanagh then more of a license to maybe float around that half forward line, and he had a super game. I can't remember what he rack up, Stevie, maybe 12 or 13 points, was it?
So
Between
12.
frees and play. 12, yeah.
I think John Michael got 4 and
Yeah.
Ross Miller's got 1. That was up to the 60. And Ross Miller's got in the last minute, I think.
Yeah.
And Dwayne got the rest of them.
Yeah, they were superb. I think, I suppose, from a Michael point of view, like that was a killing. From there on, it was kind of tit for tat, even though I suppose St Mullins hit a scoring burst then at the start of the second half. I think they reeled off 4 in a row. Might hit the first 2 scores in the start of the second half, I think. But I suppose what cost them for me was the likes of the wides. I suppose it was kind of summed up. I think, and it was probably summed up in the next game that we'll talk about as well, where St Mullins maybe got their scores a little bit easier. And they didn't have to work as hard for them. Maybe they were more economic with the ball. I suppose the start of the second half, St Mullins or Nave Owen hit 3 wides, and then, kind of killer where they had the momentum and hit, poor enough wides from good enough positions. And I think they were maybe guilty of that during the game. I suppose then what did St Mullins do? Right, Michael tagged on a point or two, narrowed the gap at the start of the second half eventually, but then St Mullins hit them for 4 points, you know what I mean, and bring that gap out again. But look, I think from a Michael point of view, I think they'll be pleased with the performance. I think they left themselves. The start was the killer, really. you know, they got you're chasing an 8 or 9 point lead with the quality of team that St. Mullins have. You're always going to be under pressure. I thought you mentioned there the second half. Ross Smithers came in the second half. I think Ross made a massive difference when he came in around that middle. He brought a bit of a bit of bite to things. He great engine. Apart from tipping over the point, he was involved in very dynamic going forward as well. I thought Declan O'Brien, the half back line as well, was very commanding this week as well. As well. So I think if you're a Michael, I suppose you're right. You're thinking of very good performance, right? Maybe we could have got something out of the game. You're scratching your head. Then how could we be so inconsistent with if we'd brought probably half of that, or maybe definitely had they brought that performance that they brought last week against Ballinkillen. I couldn't see us getting that same result that we got last week. So I suppose if you're a Michael mentor or you're a Michael player, you're kind of just saying, right, well, look, we are where we are, and we need to maybe see how can we bring that consistency going forward. I think that St. Mullins were a little bit sharper with the ball. Was only my thinking on it. I thought they were a little bit smarter on the ball. I just thought sometimes Michael's hurling was I won't say a little bit loose. Again, you mentioned there in the game on Friday night, Kevin, there about giving away the ball. I think Michael on several occasions gave away a poor ball. Do you know what I mean? Kind of misdirect the ball rather than heads up kind of hurling, and it cost them in the long run. St. Mullins were fairly well set up. I thought they hunted in packs as well. St. Mullins, they were very sharp that way. Very aggressive when they got in the ball. Their forward line looks to be moving well. They're minus Mouse. If you're St. Mullins, obviously a big player. But their forward line, I thought, moved very well. James Doyle on the freeze, he was quite good as well. So St. Mullins will be happy enough to have 2 nice wins under their belt. Put up a nice score again, 119 last night. I think they'll be a little bit disappointed. I think it was a little bit evident on the pitch that they let Michael maybe back into it. But I think they'll just be happy with the win. I just thought, like I said to you last night as well, Kevin and Stephen, I thought that game, even though at one stage there was 8 or 9 points in it in the second half, if you were coming in and you just took a snapshot of 5 or 6 minutes of that game, you'd say that the game was far closer than the 9 points was at that particular stage. And I think the 5 point margin at the end, might, probably, like I said, if you'd taken out that first 10 minutes out of the game, it mightn't have done justice to Nave Owen's efforts. But I mean, look, that's what you win and lose in the scoreboard ultimately. So, I think St. Mullins will be happy and just move on with the win again.
I would like to add to the whole thing of not looking up, especially I think it was costly for Michael coming down the home stretch when they had a lot of possession, and they still drew a lot of frees and got a lot of scores. But in terms of getting that goal they needed, which I felt they did, and obviously it proved that way, sometimes the delivery went to the wrong side of the attacker, sometimes it didn't go at the edge of the square, and occasionally this can happen if pressure is put on the defender clearing the ball. But there was a few times when there wasn't massive pressure. So that's where it's disappointing. It's just a poor delivery, really, as opposed to a pressurized delivery as such. So I think that's where maybe they fell slightly. So, it was very important for St. Mullins to start off with 2 wins, lads. I'll tell you why, because obviously Mouse is away. That's fairly obvious. But James Doyle is getting married, I believe, next week, and we wish him the very best.
Yep.
There'll probably be a clatter of lads at that. James will obviously be disappearing, I'd say, after for a little while too. So that's going to put them under pressure. So could you imagine if they had lost the other night, going in to look for more results, and there is 6 teams in it this year? I'm not saying they wouldn't make a semi-final, don't get me wrong, and I still have them in the top 2, but geez, you'd have a bit of work to do, wouldn't you? In fairness, if you look at it that way.
They were sharp now last night. I thought sometimes they start kind of off, nice and slow, and they ease their way into it. I saw them like I said, in the Bulger Cup, and I was very impressed with how they were hurling at that stage of the year. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know that's standing up as well, isn't there? Connor Keogh is flying it.
Connor flying it. You're different. We might talk about that maybe later on. In terms of the youth in all the teams, how they're pushing on and taking up the mantle. But yeah, Connor Keogh is excellent. Young Boland, you have different lads coming in for them, making big impressions. Yeah, I thought they looked quite sharp now, and their style of hurling was nice. Like, they played a lovely brand of hurling as well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So we'll move on to Ballinkillen and Rangers. I always have a kind of a soft spot for an underdog, regardless of who it is, regardless of what the sport is. I always have and I always will. So you're kind of hoping Ballinkillen are going to be competitive, even though there's no Sean Murphy, and look, there's a heap of lads you could list off. One thing I'd like to say before we get going, it was great to see Kieran Whelan back playing club championship. Fantastic hurler, horrendous injury, and yeah, just really good to see him back. And one little moment I'd like to point out was the lead up to the penalty where he drew defenders. His hand pass, like, I don't know that stand out. And a hand pass generally, sometimes it seems like such a basic skill, but it's so underrated in terms of actually getting it, I suppose, on the money or giving it to a player on the run. Like, so he's drawing a man, he's popping it off to a lad on the run. It goes straight to his hand, a couple of yards ahead. Like, you have to factor in the couple of yards that he's going to move into to make that a perfect pass, which he does. And Jack Tracy, I think it was, got fouled for the penalty. So look, there he is back making an impact already, just with that little thing. It's a bit of brilliance that everyone needs in a team. But I have to say, in previous years, and I appreciate Ballinkillen are down personnel, but they always went in and cut lumps out of Rangers. They probably got bet by 10 points most of the time by doing it. But I was disappointed with their attitude from a forwards point of view in the first half. Now, I heard Pat English roaring with about 15 minutes to go in the second half. Forwards, you're not putting enough pressure on. I actually thought he could have roared after 5 or 10 minutes, because Dion Wall, David English, and Owen Kavanagh hurled a mountain of ball. Is that Pat English actually roaring there in the background? Is it? He was like a dog yesterday anyway when you roared in at them, but like,
it must be your dog.
You have to put pressure on from number 15 onwards, or just even optics and body language. It just didn't look good to me. It looked a little bit too easy in how they were getting the ball out from the back, where you need to apply the pressure. Did it improve marginally? But it's just a basic thing where I felt that maybe they fell down on. Like, I'll put it this way, and I would have said it, I think, last night to you lads. Rangers went in 7 points up. Was that to do with absolute brilliance from Rangers, or was it to do with basic things Ballinkillen weren't doing? I'd probably side on maybe basic things Ballinkillen weren't doing, because even the goal came from an error. Very unusual error, actually, where a short free from David English was intercepted. And I don't want to seem like I'm hammering Ballinkillen today. I'm just being honest with what I see. There's more in them, and those basic things, regardless if there's a golfing standard, that's a non-negotiable in my opinion, lads. Straight up.
Yeah, I think so. I think we coughed up a lot of scores, but good teams punish you, Kevin. At the end of the day, like, if you that, and that's what good teams do, and we've seen that probably, like we said, we mentioned in the first game there, with St. Mullins, and how they, like, we call it, like, they get the scores easier, or they don't have to work as hard for their scores or whatever. But basically, what they end up doing is they punish you when they get the chance to punish you. And we did cough up a lot of kind of cheap scores, I would say. Be it from frees, Evan Keely's excellent frees, be it from open play, the goal, which was, by the way, a cracking finish by Declan Brennan, brilliant finish, absolutely unstoppable finish. So yeah, absolutely, and you need to be doing those basics well. I mean, I was talking to someone last night who's a relative of theirs, does stats, as they say, and they said, like, that stats are great for the extra 1 or 2%, but unless you're doing the basics right in any game, I mean, it's not really, you shouldn't be at this level pointing out fumble passes or pointing out balls not going to hand or stuff like that. That's not really, you're not getting much of a percentage increase there from a statistician. So we should be taking those things for granted. And I think some of our sharpness that way, definitely, look, it mightn't have been there, but look, it was a step up again from last week. I suppose with the forwards working, personally, right, I know you try different things. I know maybe my own personal thinking on it would be that we maybe conceded the puck out a little bit too much. Where about conceding the first ball out to a cornerback or out someone in the full back line, but I don't think we put enough pressure sometimes on the second ball.
The puck out, Shaw, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you see the way Dean Gren was bombing some of them? They were even at knee height.
Yeah.
Would that have been deliberate? is he trusting, like, the lads have the good touch, and
Well,
usually
I think so, because I mean I think we
the
had the
sharp
match.
puck out are going hand
Yeah,
height or head height,
yeah,
and he was bombing them. Jeez, if he
yeah,
didn't control it, they were in trouble.
yeah. And I actually think, and strange to say, I actually thought we were more comfortable with them when Rangers were coming along. If you get me, I thought we were, in terms of long from Dean. I thought we were not too bad in the air. Like, you know what I mean? We were well set up for their puck out when it was coming along. I think it was the second half we conceded one very sloppy score where a puck out went short. What about the first one? Like we said, going to full back line, but then there was a handy pass to I think it was Dermot Byrne, the half back line. He put a great ball into the corner. I think Ted got a score off it. It was a fantastic score, but there was no pressure on that. So I think if you're conceding a short puck out, if you're I know work rate is across the pitch, but from a puck out point of view, if you're conceding the puck out, whatever about conceding it to a corner back, you really have to nail them there. You have to apply the pressure then. And I don't think we did. Look, I think the goal was a killer. We were right in the game at that stage. There was a couple of points in it, and I think it really stretched them out from the point of view of putting it kind of took the wind out of our sails. Really, it was a big score in the game. I think they're a little bit of quality in terms of finishing proved in the end. I know we might talk about it. I happen to be looking back. I mean, look, we can harp on about lads being missing from our team, but I was looking back from their last two county finals, Mount Leinster Rangers. I think they had 8 changes as well from the 2021 and 2022 final last night. So they had a lot of new players in there as well. And it's up to the players on the pitch to step up. Do you know what I mean? We often hear about Limerick and the next man in, the next man in. Yeah. And I think while we are down players, Rangers are in a changing space too as well. And I think I think last night too. I suppose, look, last night, like you mentioned there as well, Kevin, and we mentioned about Nea Breed, we mentioned about Bagnallstown or whoever, and about where they were after 2 games. I think our lads will be disappointed with some of their play last night, but I think after 2 games, having 2 points on the board was ultimately probably the best we could hope, especially going into our first game minus who we were down. And I think we'll take some positives out of the game last night. I think having more minutes into Kieran Whelan was massive for us. I think he as the year will go on, I think we'll see a lot out of him. I think when him and Jack went inside last night, that's something I personally would like to see. I think if we can work that or leave the 2 of them inside for as long as we can, I think that could be a game changer for us in terms of if we can maybe get Sean Murphy out in the half forward line as well, and maybe Owen Whelan in the mix as well.
He played very well when he came in, actually, just to point
out.
He
did, yeah. So I think we have options there. So we'll be happy enough after that. From a Rangers point of view, and we were going to talk about about their young guns as well. We're talking about some of their players that come in, like young Brennan took the goal, fantastic. Don Murphy, I think, got 2 points. Evan Keeley looks very assured in the freeze there. Got Faker Fitzpatrick, and John Nolan. Their position, I thought, was interesting from a Rangers point of view after 2 games. Faker seems to be, in the first game, he was man marking, I think, Andrew Kane, if memory serves me right.
Yep.
And last night he was back in that kind of full back line as well, kind of looked like he was, shepherding back there. And then you have John Nolan from wing back, who I thought was just unbelievable last night. The scores he got were incredible, Not to mention Ted Joyce's 3 wonder scores as well, So
one of John Nolan's scores, well, they were all outrageous, right? I think the second one came off. Did that come off the hurl? He got one off the hurl, did he? I think, yeah. But the third one, I think it was, he bombed forward from wing back anyway, and if you can picture this, he's coming up the stand side, shooting into the Deer Park end. So obviously he's shooting kind of diagonally or whatever. Honest to God, I wouldn't be surprised if it went over the bar in the outside pitch as well. It had some range on it afterwards. It was gone. It was like it was going to oblivion. But interesting. Is it a sign of how they're playing as well when he's back there? You know the way, like, I suppose the modern game that that Joe isn't a big fan of. I don't think
I am a big fan of
the terminology, but carrying the ball and stuff, like you're not always a big fan of it. You're kind of cut your cloth to suit your measure thing, right? So, like, you'll see it. We've seen it a good bit in football where half forwards are now half backs. Joel will come back to us there in a second. But Stevie, I'll put this one to you. Is this literally becoming a thing now? Is this part of Rangers DNA where we're going to see pretty good forwards playing in the half back line?
Yeah, well, if you have to, I would have said, looking at the senior, intermediate in the last couple of years, senior this year as well, your standard of hurling, skill-wise, has to be top-notch now. You will not get away with it anywhere in the field. You know, an old mentor of ours said one time, you put your most skillful players near the opposition goal, and that was fairly true. Now they can play anywhere. Like John Nolan score off, like he bounced the ball off the ground and drove it over the bar. He can make the hair stand the back of your neck. He can play anywhere. His work rate alone, and his work rate was, I thought, he was very underrated for a couple of years there at both county and club level. And like last night, you put the lad back in the backs. You have faith in to do a job. Like, there's not every forward you can put back in the backs and expect to get a work rate out of him, like you get out of him. Right, okay. Might say that has to be a given. It should be a given at senior level that if you're wearing 15 or 5 and you're wearing 15 and you're asked to play a 5, you go and flick and do it, and that's simple as that. But like the fact that they can put the two boys back there, Faker, for playing all these county hurling this year in the middle of the field as well. It's great to have options because, they have, Gary Kelly, he commands a blood sub there for 30 seconds. When he come on the forward, scored a point. Michael Lyle is supposed to be out injured, I think, at a minute. There's a lot of experience missing off that team, and Richard Kelly was back in the full back line. I'd say he woke up this morning, Frank Foley's voice was ringing in his ears. I thought he'd have a rip on there a couple of times in the first or second half. These boys, they have standards to be set, and if they're not set, they'll be flicking let know quite quick, no matter who we are.
Mm-hmm. Other young lads, just to point out as well on the field of play in that one, like Donald Murphy's point out near the sideline was tremendous as well. Jack Tracy got 2 scores off the hurl. First one, nice and neat near the goal, but the second one was out underneath the terrace as well. I thought he had a great game, and I liked the whole thing of the two of them playing close to the goal. We didn't really, I suppose, Kevin Kavanagh is another one. We're in the young gun. We're in the young gun section now, and we're at the last game. So before we went to this,
Eric English, lads like that from. Yeah, he
nice
scored a cracking point. Yeah, I think he grew into the game, So, Jesus, I think, it's nice to see these boys from all the clubs really stepping up to senior level. Kind of gives you, maybe sometimes we ponder about maybe where we are going to be in 5 years' time as a county, with where we are and what's coming through and maybe who's stepping away. But like all these lads were very, very impressive last night and played some savage hurling across the other teams as well, over the weekend. It's very evident, and it's going to be an interesting one. I suppose other lads there as well, like we mentioned, like Kieran Kavanagh, a big threat there, a young man as well for Rangers as well. There's a lot of good young talent there, I think, coming through. And we mentioned a couple of lads there from St. Mullins as well, and Michael as well. So that's one good thing to take from the weekend, I think, as well. Very positive from that point of view.
Not so much an actual young gun, probably more of a late bloomer. Dylan Kavanagh played very well for Nairn Breed tonight. He got 2 great points in play in fairness to him. Was unlucky with a goal chance as well. Ross Thornbury playing cornerback, another man we should probably give a mention to. Like, that's Nairn Breed's first year senior, is his first year senior, and it'll go back to a point I'm always making. If that's the standard you are used to, it's a standard you'll always expect in time. And when he becomes a mature player, then that's what he'll expect of the lads coming the other end. I don't think we're leaving any chaps out, and I don't want to leave any chaps out. Ger Kavanagh for Navan, maybe another lad kind of only after breaking on.
Caught your share last week. No, not a standout last night, but I got a good look at him last week. I was beside him for a good bit of the game. He was very good last week and has been for the last couple of years for St. Mullins. I think he's gone over 20. He's 21 now, is he? The Ballins, I don't know why are them lads? They're
Oisin's a year or two younger than I am. Anyway, he's around a while. He like you calling him a young gun though.
You call him John Doran.
Well, I suppose as young ones, as in they're not the names that would have been on the team. We'll say the starting 6 forwards, and historically with Seamus Murphy and most of these lads around. So
Owen Whelan, I mentioned him briefly there. was very good when he came in. I thought, put myself about. That's
It was interesting. I still. It's interesting from looking at last night's the different, or I suppose maybe the different styles. Like I said, it's amazing the way different managers maybe have different setups and all. It was intriguing to see the different game plans kind of in action last night. I thought that you can't beat a bit of experience. We're talking about the young guns as well, but you had kind of when the game was kind of getting tight and that as well with us, or when things were coming under pressure, you had two Codys there, Paul and Richie, in the middle of the field for Rangers, and just settle things down. I think they might pick a point off each. You can't.
Eddie Byrne got a good puck out as well, didn't he?
Paul Cody picked up a ball there in a
one of free that time. Was over. Yeah, was it?
Paddy Keogh went down the stretch in that game yesterday as well. Caught a high ball. It was the heat was coming on, if you remember.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't beat that little bit of experience and knowing what to do at the right time. Making those good decisions, I think, is very important as well. So yeah, it's good couple of good games.
Well, we should probably move on to the fixtures then for next weekend before we go to intermediate and junior. For half an hour in already, isn't it mad? Jesus, you fly through this crack. I'm trying to fly down through the fixtures now as well while I'm at it. So Bynagstown and St Mullins, that's at 2:00 on Saturday. Netwatch Cullen Park. Right. Predictions, lads. Jump up.
Is James Dale gone?
I think the wedding is this weekend anyway, yeah. As far as I
think
know.
it's the 5th or something. I thought the boy saying last night. No, but seriously,
you know the answer to that already. I'm sure he'll.
I thought someone said the 5th. No, I don't know. It's in Portugal, isn't it?
Oh well, sure. Look, he could be gone.
That'd be the week. That'd be the week of the break, wouldn't it?
You hear nothing anyway. It's all low key down there. Brendan Cowan Furniture will tell you that there. They keep the cards close to the chest down there.
Well, you'd imagine that's the week of the break in terms of there's 3 weeks. You've this weekend coming up, and then we have the break. So that probably would tie in. You'd imagine. Do you know what I mean? I didn't hear any different. So yeah.
You reckon he got to came with the county board before he rang the parish priest?
Sure. Look, you take these chances. I know. Well, the fairness, the Oak was sent out. The fixtures were sent out, I suppose, a while. But look, I'll call it anyway. I think from what I saw, I think St Mullins will edge it out as well. I just think they're a little bit sharper at this stage than Bynagstown are. Right, Alfie coming back, is a big thing for Bynagstown. I think he settles things. That could be, it could be who's there and who's not there. Like I said, if James is missing from St Mullins' point of view, he's a big game player. If he's not going to chance playing before the week before his wedding or whatever else. And Alfie coming back, it's a big swing, but I still think St Mullins they're looking very sharp. I probably just give a nod to St Mullins in that one, but I think there won't be a whole pile in it.
Mm-hmm. Stevie?
Yeah, probably the same. But like Jimmy Clark got a couple of points the other night. The lads are back, from the football. They're playing catch up as well, and they get a couple of games under their belts. Be interesting to see will Jack McCullough push up. Alfie is back. His physicality will be a big help going forward if he can be pushed up to 8, 9 or 11 or up that direction of the field. You're looking at probably legs wise in the backs. Will Bynagstown be able to match all the St Mullins the first half last night in particular? They're trying to had an extra yard on Bowen, but they're getting, if the ball goes into you, go into the forwards, doesn't matter whether you're slow or fast or whoever you are. So big game, like Bynagstown are back the 2 points that it would have been hoping for against Breed at the start of the year. This one, the other games now, where I wouldn't say have to win as a bonus. They wouldn't be saying that at the start of the year. Like look, last year they lost by 4 points in semi-final. 2 incidents. Stage. Yeah, exactly. Craig 2 incidents in the semi-final. Craig Dyle's ball that did or didn't go over the line. Moses' penalty that mightn't. Not to mind more lads would have got the penalty. It could have been a different outcome. I know Bynagstown were down a few. They're generally just looking at Beanie's out for another while. JP Tracy's not back yet either. I give Sam Mullins just a nod, but I wouldn't be surprised either if Bagnestown. I'd be interested to see from I noticed this from Sam Mullins in the last couple of years. Their fitness levels have, if they played likes of a football team, I said it last week as well, they might have, again, the match is over, been found for fitness, and I don't mean found out, but definitely whoever they've done, and it's nice in results, of won county finals, they won 3 or 4 in the last 7, 8 years, whatever it is, that the pace to have in different parts. Like Conor Kyo's hit 4 points last night again. Himself and Ted Joyce are just playing unreal hurling, that they can't be left get room. And if Conor Kyo has held, there's Jason O'Neill, he's playing well, and John Doyle got a slap last night. If John Wakely wasn't expecting it, I'd say he shook every ball. The two biggest men I've ever seen hitting off one another in a match. Yeah, go Sam Mullins just about, but the James Dale factor. Look, they hadn't got James Dale against us. He brought him on for 10 minutes, and it was still well ahead for us. But
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see this set up there, like where Jamie Clark is deployed. You know what I mean as well. He's had a couple of good runs, maybe in at full forward. Like, will they try, put him in there? Maybe on Paul Doyle. Will they try to play a different game? It's like you said, Stevie, too. It's Bagnestown have a few lads come back with a little bit more hurling. So it'll be interesting to see how Bagnestown play what they have. I think Jack McCullough factor there is a big one too, and you mentioned it quite rightly. So you had what do you call Paddy Keogh and Jack Cavan in the middle of the field for St. Mullins, and two very athletic, good hurlers, everything else. But Jack has that few years extra on his side as well, in terms of up and down the pitch as well. I still think, like I said, lots of pluses there for Bagnestown Gales, but I still think probably that little bit sharper, that sharpness in the forward line, I think will probably get St. Mullins across the line, Ari.
All right, moving on then to Sunday. The two games are separated. As we said, Neighbreed and Ballinkillen 1:00. Jesus, I don't think there'll be much in this, being truthful about it, and it might come back to bite me, but I don't think there will. Jenny, there's no point. I should have got someone else for this. Like, there's a.
We'll both give a case why each team is going to win, right, Stevie? You give a case why Neighbreed are going to win there now. I'll give a case why Ballinkillen are going to win.
We'll have more scores on the scoreboard after it's over. Sure, look, I'm not going to change tact. We've learned from last week. A couple of goals. There's a couple of other things. A couple of quick sidelines were taken and got punished for them. Points from. These are things you have to eliminate. And okay, probably if we get caught out at them first, to see how valuable it is to not make these mistakes. Look, we'll have any more back, and we have another lad back maybe, I don't know. Ballinkillen looks like they've Owen Whelan back last night. Cho will be back next week, I'd say. So it'll be interesting to see. It's at 1:00, so the dinner will be deferred till 2:30 anyway.
Yeah,
not 3:00.
That's
we're still talking.
We'll always be talking. Yeah, but look, I'm obviously I am going to go at my own here this time, definitely. I think we'll be a little bit disappointed about last night, but take some positives out of it. I think getting the extra minutes, like I said, into Kieran Whelan, you had Mark Foley there, who has made an impression. The 2 games he's come back in on. He'll be pushing up for a start. Owen Whelan, more minutes into him. Sean Murphy, hopefully, if he's fit. Was obviously tugged out last night, but still carrying that knock, and I think that could give us a little extra pep in our step in our forward line. We need to be hitting more scores, I suppose, too. We talked about Michael in the first game only hitting 7 points against us. We got 11. We got 112 last night, was it? I think 112 last night. So that's 13 scores. We need to be hitting more scores. We need to be taking more chances anytime we create them. We missed a few frees, I suppose, last night as well, and just to bone up and stuff like that. But I think we might, we might just have that little bit I think we might have that little bit of extra X factor maybe if those lads are able to play more of a part in the game, and maybe that we kind of we're kind of maybe as the years going on, we're maybe getting closer to where our team needs to be in terms of personnel and setup and so on. So yeah, I think it'll be a big battle though. And Breed have always given us a big battle of a few excellent players there. In key positions as well for them. But I think I'll be bold on this one. I'll trump for us. I think we might just have that little extra bit of firepower maybe next week that might just get us over into the line. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game, but I think we might just have that little bit maybe when it comes to it. But there won't be a whole lot in it because I know Nave Breed will probably be targeting ourselves as well as a potential win. So it'll be it's a big game. It's a big game, the championship for both teams. Really, do you know what I mean? It's a massive game for both clubs because calling a spade, like certain clubs are targeting certain games definitely as more winnable than others. So I think both teams will really be up for this, and we might see a ding dong battle. But I think we might edge a low scoring affair next week.
Going to sound controversial. What sort of a championship allows teams to target games? It's not the fucking league, like it's championship. Sorry, I sound really, really harsh, but when we only have 5 or 6, it's very hard to find an alternative. But it is reality. Teams do target games. We know it. It's fairly obvious.
Yeah, but they do, like that's the reality.
Yeah.
I mean,
so how can we like? Is there any way around that?
No, because the aim of your game ultimately is getting to a semi-final. You take some of the years that St. Mullins won championships, they didn't often top the group. Do you know what I mean? Just picking that as an example. I mean, you might right when I say aim, right? Obviously, you go to win every game, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's what we all say. But sure, in your heart of hearts, sometimes you're going out maybe minus a heap of lads or whatever.
Of course, naturally, yeah.
But like other games are more winnable. Where maybe so you take let's be honest, right? You take last night, maybe had there been 3 or 4 points, maybe in say the Ballinkillen game with 15 minutes to go. And maybe Sean Murphy is kind of 70% fit. Does he get a gallop? Your mindset is slightly different. You know what I mean? Because maybe at that stage in the game, you're saying, look, well, maybe this game has kind of gone past us, right? We're playing a lad now, he could get hurt or whatever else. So it's not that you're going out before the game writing it completely off, but like in being realistic, there is certain games that you are hoping to get full points from, but I don't think you can. I mean, I don't think you can.
That's not a criticism of any team for doing it. It's literally a drawback of the structure. That's what I'm saying. But in our county, it's obviously a fickle one. There's no way of actually making that a situation where, like, just say, for example, if that's a game of and Ballinkillen are at risk of going out of the championship, right? Sean Murphy's playing it.
Yeah.
So we can afford to just say, right, lads, look, it's not that you're not going to give 100% for a Rangers game, but right, lads, we really need to win this one. But it's okay if we don't win that. I don't know. Is that a championship?
Well, like it is. Like you said it beforehand there. You said it with St. Mullins. You said they know maybe in 2 weeks' time they might be down James Dial. Lads are after having a wedding. Like it happens to every club. Like I mean, that's the reality. Like it happens like in professional sports. It happens. You don't go out to not win every game, but some games are more winnable. And ultimately, we've seen before in Carlow, like I said, and in other championships, getting to the semi-final is the goal for the year. And then the semi-final takes on a complete, it's a complete life of its own.
Is that the reason why, like, I made a comment to you guys where I thought it was substandard over the weekend for the most part. I saw moments of quality, but I didn't see Carlow hurling at its best. I don't think it's a great showcase. I didn't think it was as good as it can be or as good as it has been in previous years. And we're losing quality players to America this summer. So that's probably maybe a reason for that. We didn't have much lads. She couldn't go anywhere the last 2 years, like really, with COVID and stuff. So maybe that's a factor. It's, I don't know. It's not edge of the sea stuff. And in my opinion, in championship, you should be in situations, right? There's something really on the line here. And I know it can't be like that the whole time. I don't have an obvious alternative when there's only 6 teams to be straight with you.
Probably don't have the numbers. I think in Laois is it 8 senior hurling teams.
I don't know for definite.
I think it is. I think it's in, yeah, and you might.
We can't go to Kilkenny route. They have 12 teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We can't do that.
Your numbers
So,
your numbers limit you to what your options really are. Like,
what can you do on and this even might sound even more ridiculous, but do you actually just have 3 teams in 2 groups and play 2 games there straight away, and then go into a knockout situation where you have a quarter, semi, and final? There's not much games in that then, though. It's fucking really, really hard to get it right when there's so few teams. So
well, it's about peaking. See,
every game in that is important then.
Yeah, but I mean, teams peak for different times. Like, I mean, teams peak at different times. Some teams need to be under a game from every game. Do you know what I mean? We talked about from a county sense, like Carlow playing when they go up into the say the Division 1 hurling. They need to be under game every game because they don't have a panel or they need to get wins. Because relegation staring them in the face. We talked about more winnable games than that when we're up in Division 1 maybe than other games. Certain counties, it's the equivalent of that. Like certain counties can aim to peak for different times. You can choose to rest their panel or use their panel, etc., etc. And it's just the very same at club level. You know what I mean? And that's the reality. Like, that's the reality where we are. Like getting to the semi-final is what it's all about. After that, really, right, you try to go up as high as you can in the group because obviously you might get a better draw, but you don't know what will happen in the semi-final. Do you know what I mean? You don't know. It's a knockout game. It's hell for leather. Everything is on the line then, and but it's about getting there. You know what I mean? They don't care. They don't care how they get there or in what order. Yeah. Generally, it's just getting there is the important thing. And I suppose with 6 teams you're limited.
Like even take Rangers. They're just plodding along really at the moment. They're nowhere near their best. And it was kind of the same last year. They were wiping teams at about 65-70% of their capability, and we saw near enough to 100 in county final day, which was great. But yeah, and it was awesome. But the point I'm trying to make is, can we have more bite by changing things a little bit? That's all. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on this. I didn't really plan on going down that route, but I just think we could be looking back on 3 games where there was bite in the whole thing because it mattered. Whereas in reality, there's a safety net there where or if we don't get results, sure, what about it? I don't know. It's probably just one of those things. We may move on from it, but if anyone has any alternatives, I'd like to hear them. Just out of interest.
But see, suppose just again before we go, like the reality for some clubs is if you think about it for the last, I don't know how many years, like we can how long was it before we contested our last county final? Do you know what I mean? Bagnallstown, Nave Breed, you know what I mean? Even Michael for a good number of years have been county final less, if you get me. So we have different targets, or you're striving for different things, and you're trying to play the system to get there, or to give yourself the best chance of getting there. And sometimes that
isn't peaking an interesting one too, as in like we're aiming to peak for then. How can you actually go and carry that out accordingly? Because it's not like you go out and hurl 10% as good as you could for a couple of games beforehand. Like how can you actually just go and do that? Is it?
But I mean,
interesting. I've often thought about it.
But as a mentor yourself, you must realize that you probably will prepare differently for league games and championship games. I mean, as in real championship games. I know it's we're talking different scenarios here, but as a mentor, you might say, well, our training schedule, right, lads, we're playing league games, whatever, on X night. We're training certain nights, right? We're, we have a different emphasis, right? We're doing all the hard work now. We're doing X and Y, and then we're playing through the league grand, and then come championship, things change. And I think, different. There'll be different plans and different ways of looking at things, and
I see where you're coming from. I do see where you're coming from with that. But I suppose as a mentor, and I'll give you a little bit of insight into this year, being involved with a senior club. Everything we're doing, we're trying to mimic what we're going to do for championship. So that might even come down to something simple like the night before a game. What we're doing the night before a game, will be what we're planning to do the night before the championship game. And we've done that all year. Literally replicate everything.
Go on, Kevin, I'm going to stop you there for one sec. One of the last years I was involved with O'Loughlin, Tom Cullen was training us, and Clarky was in the goal at this stage. And very same, mimic what you're going to do on the day, and the boys were down to play. I think we were down to play the following week at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in championship. I had to come over after Ned Breed played the minor hurling final, and I'd say whoever was playing after the scene, we were training in Ballinabana, so the pitch in O'Loughlin must have been done up or some of the time. And to leave the minor match, and I don't know who was in the scene, or I can't remember, but said after saying that's an ignorant fucker, that lad going out there after the minor match. I remember doing it, I said to myself, I'll never ever do it again. I don't care if the fucking net will play again. That happened. I remember the very same thoughts. I thought I never heard of it before or again till now. You said it there now. When we were going over the grounds, I was embarrassed that that's the truth. And I remember. I think we lost the minor final as well. But
that's the long and short of it, and with preparation, and it's kind of some of this is tangible and some of it is completely different due to format, right? So, like every game we went out in the league, we were trying to get a result because we weren't promoted for 7 or 8 years, so everything mattered. But we still prepared the same way as you will before we go play.
Yeah, but there's a difference as well, though. You had a goal in mind for your league, if you get me. You had the promotion, so it was worth something. Do you know what I'm saying? You had a goal.
So format dictates.
Yeah. Well, and I suppose especially in your case, if you get me, do you know what I mean? You had a promotion in mind, and it is obviously very. I suppose it's different. But like
we didn't. But the thing was, like, I suppose that to be very straight, like, was that an outright thing? It was performance by game, and to literally replicate everything that you're going to do for the championship game coming up, right? Which we hope to perform well in, obviously, and like we're going to go out on that day, hopefully get a result. But it matters. That's what I'm saying. We can't afford to say, Asher, if we don't beat them, we have round 2, and if we win that. That's we're going to round 3.
Yeah,
that's not even a thought process. Like,
no,
and if you compare that to the structure then with a hurling championship where we are, it's worlds apart, isn't it?
Yeah, but your mindset then is the balance too. Like, I mean, if you build up every game like it's do or die, and it's to be all and end all, when you do lose a game, is it our lads deflated too much? If you get me, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying you in terms of you personally.
No, I understand.
Setup. I get what I'm saying in terms of like, I think every manager would have said it at start of the year. Where can you be after 5 games in the championship? We can only be in a semi-final. So how we get there, like if we've seen many years have we seen like where teams go out good in the group stages and then next thing are caught in the semi-final. Do you know what I mean?
But the big thing is you like while you're hopeful of mimicking, I should say, right? If I even look at it this year from just say our point of view, it's when things actually matter was when we got results. So you can't mimic a situation where things matter and don't matter. So every time it mattered, we seem to come up trumps like. So
would
this going on, But
would your personnel have changed, say, much over the year? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I suppose. You get your county players back, don't you? Like,
or injuries and yokes like that. I mean, you probably want your best team now for this county. I know we're on to Laois football here. Stevie gritting his teeth there.
it's comparable formats, really. I know we're delving into this a little bit,
but you know what I'm saying in terms of you want to peak you want your lads to be you want your peak team now come the league final, correct? You ideally are looking, probably you're hoping now to have your championship team more or less kind of your league final is your last big one before your championship. You're kind of leading, while you won league games, you probably could have had 6, maybe could be 5 or 6 different players that mightn't maybe feature in the league final, possibly.
Well, yeah, but sure, look, there's a lot like holidays and all that, as you've been saying, like there's all these factors. But
you know what I'm saying. But you are in one way. You played the league without your county players. Now you're moving into championship phase. Your league final will probably feature closer to a championship team. And then you're moving into championship. It's kind of probably like the way our group hurling is at the minute. Like lads, kind of, there is kind of a couple of teams maybe who maybe have the strength and depth and are probably a little bit stronger than others. Then there's other teams in the middle. Then there's other teams who'll be scrapping for that last place. So I think ultimately, I suppose we can't do anything with the format where six teams, but I think getting to the semi-final has been every manager's goal. Stevie's selector with Nate Breed. Stevie, would you be happy, say, as a selector, if it was first or fourth? Would it make any difference to you from an Nate Breed point of view?
No, and like we've been playing, I think we ended up first and fourth in different times. We won, and played in the Carlow semi-finals with Parnells and Breed, and we got all sorts of results from being in second, third, or fourth, I'd say. And some days we went out in semi-finals, we knew after getting to a semi-final, a scraping there wasn't going to be going anywhere other than a 8-10 point defeat to Sam Mullins or Michael at different stages down the years. And I say, you get the same reward as in, right, okay, if it's a semi-final spot, that's the number one reward, but you're only getting your halfway to a county final. But regards of pinpointing different games for different things, every team this year have 5-6 lads missing from last year for various reasons. Some are coming back, more are not. So there's lads going in looking to get game time on team. You have to give lads game time. You have lads put out their hand up for a jersey then as well. And these are all feeding into, right, the last round of fixtures, second round, last round of fixtures. Someone's going to be we have to win this game or we're out of the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So if you call the first, like I remember Michael years ago when they were on 5 and 6 in a row, they had to play a lad that hadn't played for 10 years rather than take someone off the intermediate or junior team. They still have 14 lads with 100 medals between them. That was the mentality. They knew that a great chance to win the game happened. We went 1 year, it was the first we went with Parnells, and it didn't matter at the end of the year. Michael won the county final after, So it was.
Yeah, I suppose, doesn't it, like, it's a big cliche, but take results out of it. If you get the performance every day, take the psychology out of it. If you get the performance every day, you should get the results if you're talented enough players. And if you don't, then you go back and identify why that didn't happen. And that's kind of a very simple logic, but it's fact. And you show them what went wrong. This is what went wrong. This is why such and such happened. This is what we learned from. So, like, when you are making improvements on that, you're always trying to go to the best of your ability, right? We all know that, or you should be at least trying to perform to the best of your ability. And I suppose in Carlow, maybe a speech beforehand, like just say Ballinkillen the other night against Rangers. I saw their warm up. I heard things that were said. They were looking to have a right good go there, and regardless of expectations. And I suspect that even next Sunday, when they know that it's a game that they kind of have to win, will that be done differently? I don't think so. Would you have went into the country? I'd say it's the very same preparation.
No, it'll be the same. It'll be the same preparation, Kevin. Look, we can all
and mindset, like.
Yeah, but it will be. But realistically, is different than you can prepare the same, no problem. You can have everything set up. You can go out, but realistically, some games are more winnable than others, and that's the reality. Do you know what I mean? That is the reality. It's like you when, like I said, throwing it back on you as a mentor.
Yeah.
You know yourself. You just say you see the draw in Fitzleash or whatever, or it's not a group, isn't it? It's
open draw. Yeah.
And let's be honest, there's probably some teams there that you'd say, I wouldn't mind them. There's probably other teams you'd say, they'll be a little bit dicier. They'll be, that's the reality. It's not saying you're not going to prepare any differently, or the players aren't going to want to go to win games, but there's some games that are more winnable. And getting points as a manager now, like I said, after 5 games, the only place you can be after 5 games is in a county semi-final. And it's about managing what you have to get there. And then hopefully at that stage, you have everyone right, you empty the tank, you know what I mean? But I think from a Carlow point of view, with 6 teams, there's nothing you can really do. There is going to be some games, as we've seen before, that are going to be dead rubbers. You know what I mean? That are going to be,
Yep.
I think last year we had something to play for. Wasn't it last year we had something to play for up to the last round even? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you played Michael, and that was effectively like a quarter final from memory.
Yeah,
and Michael then played Rangers in the semi. So I suppose we don't have the other thing. Yeah, we can't put in relegation to because there's not enough teams to relegate. So,
No,
so
that's it.
if that was there in it and we had enough teams, then that's an obvious thing to say, okay, right, let's
Yep.
okay, right. Every game here now we have something to do. But look, that's the joys of it.
Right.
We'll move on.
Park it.
Like, yeah, we'll park it for now. Good debate though, good discussion, organically as well. We'll go back to the intermediate and junior championships, and I'm just working on getting the results. Stevie, I was talking loosely to a few lads there yesterday. They informed me there was a few foot soldiers back for Bree, but unfortunately, the result didn't go in their favour in the junior championship.
No, there was a few rivals back. It wasn't that. It was on minor match in Kilkenny at the same time. So, yeah, so the juniors gone to a 4-team championship now. So we're guaranteed a semi-final spot, regardless. St. Mullins third team, like they'll be trending strong. So,
14 points to 1-7. St. Mullins won.
14 1-7. Yeah. I'm not going to divulge any more than that because I don't know much more than that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but look, the junior, any club, if you only 2 teams, you need to have lads. You know, it's good to see lads. You know, keep your hand in there. You know, after playing senior or whoever it is for so many years, and you'll have young lads coming up as well, and you have casual lads as well. You know, to drift in now, and that's the thing that once someone's holding a hurl and playing a game, it's just great. You know, that's of course then you'll have the more seasoned lad that. You know, he'll be, you know, keeping his hand in there at 45 or 6 jaw there. You were away for the weekend. How would you get away with that there? You weren't playing intermediate. How would you get the...
That's playing over in Germany.
Or were you back for it?
No, I missed it, thankfully.
They dropped for the next day, so...
Yeah, Jesus, I wish. I hope.
I forgot one senior fixture. Sorry, lads. Did I? I think I did. I forget?
I did. Leinster Rangers and Navan, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to preview that.
Yeah, so we may come back to that with a quick verdict, just in one word. I think Rangers on, yeah. Rangers.
I should go for Rangers, but Michael improved, I thought, very much the second half. Look, you'd have to go for Rangers and all on form, but yeah.
Joe?
I go for Rangers, and I don't think there'll be any more in it than what was in it with the St. Mullins game. I think if on saying that, if Michael hurl like they hurled against St. Mullins last day and have those 1 or 2 lads coming back, I think they'll put it up to Rangers. I think Rangers maybe little extra firepower might just get them across the line, but I don't think it's going to be, you know, maybe 5 or 6 points in it, I think.
All right, I'm just going to venture back then to the intermediate championship. So yeah, 4-8 Navan, 5 points Ballinkillen. Carlow Town 1-8, St. Mullins 2-15, and Rangers 3-12, Bynasdown 2-4. Any comments on that before I get to the fixtures, lads?
Our game is all I know about. I suppose it looks kind of done and dusted on one. You know, when you look at scoreline, I think we hit 17 wides, over 60 minutes. So look, we're probably more competitive than the scoreline maybe gives us justice for. You know, I think might hit 7 or 8 wides as well or whatever. So we probably just come up a little bit short firepower. We had a very young team out. We'd only 15. You know, we're kind of tight with numbers this year, as I was saying to you before. But a very young team, so the lads will take a huge amount from that going forward. But it was closer than the scoreline would suggest. But I suppose, look, you know, my second team is always very strong, so nothing we can do there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Palatine and Navan have pulled out a junior championship, which Stevie has mentioned there, leaves with 4 teams. Sad to see. When players go up through, I suppose it's not relevant to Pal, but we spoke about already. When players go up the ranks, then it depletes the second and third teams. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. But on Friday at 8 o'clock in Kilbride, Burn Rangers take on Leinster Rangers in the junior championship. And just scrolling down to intermediate, then Saturday 7:30, St. Mullins are at home to Navan, and at 8 o'clock, Carlow Town are at home to Bynasdown Gales. I think that's a wrap on the fixtures front.
Under 20s is starting this week as well, Wednesday.
Midweek.
Yep.
Okay, we'll have a little scroll and we'll give you the fixtures on that while we're at it here, so why not? 7:30, Bynasdown Gales at home to Michael. Same time, St. Mullins at home to Ballinkillen. And then in the B side of things, 7:30, Nairbreen at home to Burn Rangers. That's all I have available to me here at the moment. So that is the Jack and Rory. We move on to the long puck. and yeah, some success on a Carlow front, Stevie. I know you're up there as well, so we'll give a synopsis on that and maybe a shout out to Tracy as well.
Yeah,
Two Tracys actually, one first name and one surname.
Yeah, and the lad who won the men's one was a Tracy as well. So
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, there was one of them. Sorry, apologies. It wasn't. It was Phelan actually. There was one of the other competitors was a Tracy. Yeah, I was up there doing marker for the under 16 Camogie, and like hats off to all the 15, 16-year-olds and up that hill, and that was fine. But the wind once you go up the top of that hill, was like something I'd never seen before. Pat Mosey was doing the marker for the Offaly girl from St. Rina's, and I'd said we weren't 5 minutes into the game, and the page went off Pat's clipboard, and I tell you, he done some job to retrieve it, because if not, it was in Ballin or Buntlody. And that was basically what we're doing for the whole length. We were up there, we were trying to hold on to these sheets on the folders.
You'll be used to trying to keep a clean sheet anyway, Stevie. So.
Jeez, I tell you, it was gas, because the girl I was with, she was from Kilmesson. It was Rebecca Horns, her name, and her mother was doing the spotter. So if a slitter went AWOL, left or right, the mother had to go after it, and I was shortly following on. She done brilliantly. It was we kind of knew we were, in with a chance, but we hadn't the clue really until the end. And then they announced the Kildare girl won it, but the Kildare girl wasn't in. It was a mistake. But I think we ended up about 5 or 6 shots off, and only maybe a shot or two off being third. But the conditions, it was fine when we up there. I text Tracy after when she won. She said after dinner, there was hailstones, it was shocking. She said it was just unreal. And Tracy won after, I think she won about 4 or 5 shots. But definitely the experience of being up there before has to be a huge difference, because some of them, like the Kilkenny one, was held in Gorn golf course, on the race course. But you have to make sure, ideally, if you could have both sides up there, it would be a help, I suppose, because like Brian Tracy, he came second, and Tracy texted me there today, said it's the top 2 actually go through to the All-Ireland, so 2 of each province, so that's up in the Cooley Mountains in August. And I'd say Tracy's been up there before. I don't think it's her first time to win that. No, maybe I'm wrong.
Between Tracy Condell and Lindsay Condell.
Lindsay, yeah.
No amount of long pucks between them now.
But the difference, lads, go up there, and I played in the goal on bad days, quite bad days. But to actually hold the hurl up there and swing it, and try and concentrate on it and keep everything going. I tell you now, I was delighted. Gerlin rang me the other day, would I come up and give a hand? I said, "Just I will if I can." But to go up and actually see it, these girls 15, 16, Fiona O'Brien, Joe or Fiona playing with the Celtic Challenge, as sweet a strike for balls you'll see. He came third in it in the boys. I think he was 3 shots off the winner. I don't know where the winner was from. But it's not just to let the goalies mulliking the ball 90 yards, 100 yards. Fiona know that day above me, he had about 7 points from frees. Yeah. Oh, sweet as a nut. The like to see him getting third, brilliant. And I think he was 3 shots behind the winner. And Sarah Sheen was the girl in under 16, and she was the best player I seen. Carlow had the played Laois in the under 16 final in Fenner a couple of weeks ago. So it's great. 2 things that these people want to represent their county. It's not just going out and playing in the glory days, like a Leinster final that day for that girl, or Fiona's playing with the Celtic Challenge. Tracy has played county for many, many years. You're up on top of a mountain. You're trying to keep your 2 feet on the ground, literally. And it's great to see the point of savage effort and well organised by Linda Kenny, Gerald Lennon, Tommy Murphy, Eddie Byrne. Great crew there from Michael Camogie there. They were doing the marking spotting for the boys in under 16, and it was a great day. Now I tell you, the Cooley Mountains would be a different kettle of fish again. Now it'd be an interesting. I'd love to see. Like Brendan Cummins has won that a couple of times, hasn't he? 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
It's a different. Put this way, I'll never ever give out with the wind or throw a blade of grass at a match and look see which grass blowing anymore, because it's not windy at all. It's just Brilliant.
reality.
Very well done, and congratulations, Tracy. If I had been betting going up, I would have put the house on her window because she's been up there regular for many years, and best luck to her in the All-Ireland.
Good stuff. Okay, so Camogie next, coming up this weekend. We would have mentioned on last week's podcast, but Carlow faced Dublin on Saturday in Dublin. Venue still to be confirmed. And in ladies football yesterday, it was London 110, Carlow 1-9. Bad news results-wise, but good news. Straight through to the semi-final of the All-Ireland Junior Championship for the Carlow ladies footballers. So we spoke about the transition and turnaround in their season. Yeah. Happy days, Stevie. I don't know, were you at that one? But we saw
No, we had a minor match in Kilkenny, so I literally got the score 110 to 1-9. I was talking to someone at the hurling last night. Hannah Noonan wasn't playing for London. I don't know whether she was playing earlier round. She was down as 12. She was the one that, it was the difference last year in the game in Carlow. But look, they're going well. They're in the semi-final. Actually see a new little advertising campaign is up and running there. See Rachel Sire on it. If you see it, I'll put up on Twitter there later. But they could have done it above at her house, because the way they have the pitch on the hill. Rachel is well used to her. She's living up there, and banning a goal up or to. I wouldn't say they had to go look for a field, but yeah, the semi-final. Are they neutral? I'm guessing they're neutral venues. They're playing Antrim, isn't it?
I don't actually know, to be honest with you.
I think it's Antrim they have it for Man and Limerick in the other half. So hopefully they'll go over the line and get I presume that's fines in Crow Park like it is any other year there. So it'd be great if they could get over. Like, I know the last bit of point, but like London are no mugs. I've seen them last year, and Hannah Noonan was the difference, but they were a decent team, and I think about 10 or 12 players of the Parnell's team over there, so they must be a serious outfit for a club side.
Fairly stuff, Joe, as well.
Yeah, just shout out to Munster Rangers and the Fela and Camogie and lads hurling. Their Camogie team were beaten in the final, Stevie, isn't that right? And the lads were beaten in the and their lads were beaten in the semi-final of their competition. So just to acknowledge their great achievements to get as far as they did, fair play to them, representing their club and their county. So well done to them, and like I said, it's just nice to acknowledge it, I think.
Any other business, lads, before we conclude?
Just on the 16 format, no.
Yeah, I just basically get the run order and fuck it out the window, because I don't know, about 20 minutes. Really good discussion, though. I enjoyed that. In fairness.
Yeah. We'll come up with a plan. We'll come up with something. We'll come up with a plan to fix it. But I look, it is what it is. Like you said, it's all the other factors leading into it. But sure, look, it's good to have a chat about it.
Yeah. Actually, just before we go, there's a jersey there up in the corner behind me. I don't know, can we get a decent look at it? My fat head is in the way. But if anyone's interested in one of them, just helps us promote the podcast. Not massive market winner from our point of view, but just helps promote, and they're actually nice tops as well. In fairness, this actually sounds like the Crime Buster scene again, where we have a pair of runners here, lads, left in. If anyone wants to try them on, they're just their grand size, Jimmy. But no, we do a few of those jerseys knocking around. If anyone wants one, get in touch with us. Not big money or anything, but as I said, it helps keep the whole thing alive. Mates rates, yeah. The Buy Me a Coffee link should be knocking around there somewhere as well. If you want to support the podcast and you appreciate our efforts, you can do so for the price of a coffee. Joe, Stevie, thanks again. Pleasure.
Kev, mind yourself.
Chat to you next week. Sound. There we go. Thanks to our sponsors before we wrap it up. Cork and Precast, thanks. DB Recovery, Craig Carney Web Design, Balloons and Sweet Treats, Brendan Kavanagh Furniture, and Breege Nolan Physiotherapy. Again, without sponsorship, the service simply doesn't transpire. End of story. That's it for this week. We're back again with another edition after the games at the weekend. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Until next week, take care.